We are alive. Welcome to the Boogie.
Thanks for having us.
And Adam Show. I'm Boogie Bentley,
it's me.
Joined by my co-host with the most, Mr. Adam Wade Adams. We're live on the S&B Network. Smash the like button, share out the link. It's a random Monday night, but let's grow this thing and let's have some fun. I want to welcome the creative team behind the book Bug Slugger, available this Wednesday on Comixology. Wes Locher and I just want to say the Loch Ness. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. Now, you actually showed our comic book at the top. Was that planned?
As of about 10 minutes ago, that
Amazing.
came up.
Nice.
I just threw that together. I like to have some type of intro just to kind of ease into it. So I just threw that together real quick with some of the promo stuff that you had sent over. So
yeah, you can play that on every single show if you want to going forward.
Okay, yeah, that'll just be the new intro.
Yeah, totally.
I was gonna say. So if there was any copyright infringement, please send all lawsuits to Boogie.
I don't know, Boogie. Shout out to J.R. Mounts. That's his music. He does the pickle book. I don't know if you've ever ran across him or not, but he's a good dude, man. He's a jack of all trades: comic writer, artist, musician. Cool dude. So he let us use that, and shout out to J.R. Let's start this thing off with a little business, the thumbnail photo, because I talked to Wes last week. This was amazing. I talked to Wes last week. It was like, hey, let's get together, let's do this thing, but it was like short notice, so let's just go Monday. And he was like, hey, my artist may come on, and I was like, okay, that's cool, that'll be great, it'll be fun. And then we never talked again. Just everything was set, and we didn't say anything. So I didn't really think about it. I just put out the thumbnail, and when you retweeted it, I was like, what is this? And it was like little gifts that kept on giving. That was amazing. I appreciate you doing that.
No, yeah. Well, and I don't know. I think Wes thought I was going to chicken out at the last minute too. So this morning I saw it and I said, wait a second, am I going to be on the show? He's like, yeah. I was like, do they know that? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make a new graphic.
That was amazing. It was amazing. And I don't know if you noticed, I went in and changed it too, because it was so great. Because this whole show started, we had extra interviews and we needed more space to get people on. So I was like, I'll just do the Boogie show, but I like to have more people, more engagement, more conversation. And so Adam's always my wingman, but I thought it'd be funny just to put it in brackets. So it's just perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
I think at first I didn't even do it in the brackets, and then I realized, wait, they have the and added with the brackets. So I was like, I've got to add that too.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Absolutely
he's a consummate professional, this one.
Oh yeah, the brackets are on my birth certificate also. So
you're welcome. Yeah. So what's going on? We talked a little bit about all this crazy world we're living in. What's changed in your guys' life the last 2 months?
For me, absolutely nothing. I work from home anyway, so if I didn't watch the news, it would probably just feel like business as usual, to be honest with you. But no, it's all terrible, and I'm prepping my Mad Max car for when things go really downhill.
Yeah, personally. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if there are blades on the tires.
Oh, everywhere. Blades everywhere. You can't even get near that thing without getting nicked.
For me, not a whole lot has changed either. Biggest thing is just homeschooling the kids. But other than that, I prefer to not really leave the house anyway. So for me, I'm not doing too bad as I can't. So
I don't like to leave the house either, but I like that option. It's like I could sit at home for weeks in a row and not care, but it's like not having that option.
I've heard of that, parents having to homeschool their kids. And I was like, if I had kids, they'd be screwed.
I'm doing my best.
It's
They
so
do,
weird
like
because they still do the classes and stuff, but every time like I walk in the room and listen to my youngest daughter who's in 6th grade, it's like she's got the dog in her lap and the teacher's like, "Oh, so everybody tell us about your dog." And I'm like, "What are we doing here? Like you have all these kids. Let's teach them something."
Yeah, I just get like a lesson plan every week, and then so we just kind of have the basics. We have like readings, homework assignments. We don't really talk to our teacher. Like the teacher reaches out to us once a week, but it's usually just like an email, just to see how we're doing, and then basically it's just kind of work at your own pace. So and I have two, so I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. So the 8-year-old ends up doing a lot with the 5-year-old, so we kind of combine it all together. So she's going to be really prepared for kindergarten, whatever that starts. So.
Oh, nice.
Let's talk some comics. Bug Slugger #1. I noticed of 4, and we'll get into it. There's so much more than 4 issues here. You guys have a character you can do whatever you want with. But Wes, I don't know. What's the sales pitch? Let's start with that.
Sure, man. So Bug Slugger is about a hero that's armed with a powerful and mysterious slap bracelet, and he has to defend his city against an army of crickets that are being led by an ill-tempered narwhal. Is kind of the way that I've been describing it, and Bug Slugger is really a love letter to a lot of the things that Locke and I grew up with. Like we're very close in age, so we watched all the same Saturday morning cartoons, have a lot of the same interests and passions. So it's kind of our love letter to like tokusatsu television and the Power Rangers and 90s ephemera. Our hero, he gets his Power Ranger-esque armor by putting on a slap bracelet. We thought that was the best way to facilitate that. So it's really just calling back to a lot of things that we really love.
Look at that panel. I think you guys are the first ones to put a sound effect to a slap bracelet in a comic book. I
Probably.
think you were the first.
I remember
so.
when you told us about this.
Yeah.
The last time you were on, you kind of mentioned the slap bracelet thing and just kind of vaguely talked about it. This page is everything I wanted when you talked about a hero getting their powers or their cost from a slap. This is perfection. I love this page. Love that page.
Awesome. Yeah, that panel or that page was everything I wanted it to be as well. I knew that we were onto something at that point. Was it something anyone else wanted to read? I don't know, but we sure had fun.
That never stopped us. Is anyone else going to like this?
Yeah.
We came up with the ideas and we just kept going. So
I can definitely get the sense that this was like a love letter to I mean, you even say it in the book to like Power Rangers, but there's also those little known ones. What were they called? Like the ones that they were going to the computer program or something, and they were like red and blue, and like just all the costumed
like VR troopers,
troopers, and just like all those different shows that kind of embrace the people getting powers and suits form on them and stuff. And you really get that sense in this book of that love letter to that style show entertainment.
Well, so, I mean, as soon as Power Rangers started, I caught one of the episodes. It had already been on. I had no idea about it, but it was pretty recent at least. And so I saw the first episode and just immediately just became obsessed with it. And so like I just had to watch it all. And then, once I got older and found out that there were like fan subs of all these like original, like, because they take Japanese footage from all these other shows and then splice in the American footage. So then I found out you could actually watch all of these Japanese shows in their original format, and fans just actually add the subtitles. And once I found that out, it just blew my mind. So then I just kind of had to watch everything. So I had to go back and watch like the original Japanese shows of all those things that made Beetleborgs, VR Troopers, like Superhuman Samurai, all that stuff. I had to watch all of it, but the original also.
Oh, I forgot about Superhuman Samurai too. I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember those. Because that was I felt like that was a play on. We'll go past it. I'm already blanking on the on the other Japanese property.
Kamen Rider.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to. I'm trying to skate on the edge here because I don't want to spoil anything because this book is going to be released. It's not released yet, so I don't want to spoil anything. I do love at the beginning that you had your suggested voice talent with Danny McBride and Ron
that's
Perlman
a great one. Yeah, Danny McBride.
That was pretty good to help put that in your mind while you're reading the book.
Actually, I stole that idea. I can't count that as an original. My favorite comic book of all time is Scud the Disposable Assassin, which for me really influenced the writing of this book. And that's something that they actually had at the beginning of every single issue that they did as well. But I loved it because it gave me somebody to relate that character to, and it made it really jump off the page. Because normally when you read a comic, it's like if you haven't decided kind of who they sound like or what they sound like, everybody just speaks in a very flat voice. So it's like, let me go in and arm these people with what they need to know to really kind of hear what we heard as we were creating it. And we had really lengthy discussions about these people too. Like it wasn't like one-off. It wasn't like, let's just use this person. They were like back and forth like all day. Like, we really have to nail this. It really became an important part of it to us.
Well, I was going to say, I think we'd even go back months later and change it too.
Yeah.
But I think a big thing is even if there's a character that literally just has one line, we have to sign him like a very popular actor or actress. Like, they've got to have a big star for just that one line.
When you have like Danny McBride, it's just the voice just comes off. If you've seen any of his TV shows on HBO or whatever, then
what's the first character that comes to mind when you think of Danny McBride?
He's bound down for me.
Me too. Yeah. That's the first one I think of.
But there's so many there. He kind of, when you have Danny McBride, you get Danny McBride no matter what show you're in. But I would say all of them: Eastbound and Down, the Righteous Gemstones, Vice Principals.
Yeah, Vice Principals.
Not
a show, but This Is the End. He was in that. He was awesome in that.
Yeah, This Is the End. Hot Rod. It's an older one, but Hot Rod. Just all that Danny McBride stuff. I've been drinking green tea all day.
Chad Johnson dropping great Kenny Powers lines in the chat there. I won't put them on screen, but they are great, Chad, and I'm glad you're here, buddy. Let's get back to. I want to talk about Bug Slugger. I want to talk about the release schedule. What's why the decision to go digital? What's your plans moving forward? As you smirk,
plans. Don't give us too much credit. So we finished this book. I don't know, probably almost a year ago now. I want to say we did the whole series is done. So it's we're done. We've completed the series, and we spent the last year essentially pitching it around and getting rejections. It's too weird. Humor doesn't sell, that type of thing. But we really wanted to put this out, and our goal was kind of to release it. And then I do a ton of conventions, and we've Locke and I have done conventions together. So we were really looking forward to kind of getting out there and hand selling it to people. But with the state of how things are, without any conventions for the foreseeable future, we thought, well, this is a time where right now, Marvel and DC releases are kind of at a bare minimum. And in our book, we have the ability to really just kind of make people laugh and let them escape for a little bit. So it was why don't we just release it now amidst all this craziness? And I think this is maybe a really good time for it. So we're just let's just self-publish it. If somebody wants to publish it later, that's something that's totally doable. So the issues are going to come out monthly. And then I guess that means in September, I'm bad at math, we'll have the collected edition out on Comixology as well. So we're doing a Comixology release, and we're also releasing them as PDFs in case people don't have the Comixology platform. And then eventually down the line, we'll do some type of print run. But what that will look like or kind of when that will be is still a little bit up in the air.
And it's $1.99, and I like, especially when it's digital. And that's such a good price. That's such a good price to put on it. But you talking about humor and everything that's going on, and sometimes you just need an escape. And we're doing a book club where no new comics are coming out. We're just picking an old run and going back. And Adam picked Agents of Hate, and that's his favorite book. And when we read it, that's what this reminds me of.
Well, yeah.
Well, Agents of Hate. Next Wave, Agents of Hate. That's what it's called. Why are you laughing at me?
Continue. You're doing great, sir.
Anyways, all I'm saying is it's that type of story that you just pick up and read and just have a good time, man. And sometimes it's good to have that escape.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look just at my personal life, and like right now, everything that I'm watching, movies, TV show wise, it's all very like uplifting and silly and irreverent. Like I can't do anything that's super dramatic at the moment. It just doesn't fit into the world that I'm living in. So it's like, if we can help in some regard just a little bit, I think that we've accomplished our goal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been mostly, if I'm watching anything, I'm watching something that's funny for sure. But yeah, we've had this whole book done. Well, I mean, this first issue, I think we've had this for like 3 years.
Probably, yeah.
Because we did the original. I mean, we originally did the whole issue, moved on to the second one. Then when I started working on the second issue, I went back and I recolored this issue, and then I colored the second issue, and then I went back and redrew some of the pages in this issue, and then it's kind of a lot of that back and forth, pretty much for the whole book. Even just like a few weeks ago, I recolored the whole third and fourth issue. So, but we finally decided once all comics were basically on halt, I think I just said to Wes, like, let's just get it out. Let's just do it. We're not getting anything for a while. People aren't going to be getting physical books. Let's just get it out there. And so I gave myself like a week and a half, and I went and recolored the last 2 issues, and then we got everything put up, and Comixology approved it and got everything set up like right away. So yeah, now we have to start. Now we have to start issue 1. So it's hard for me. I want to talk about so much what happens after this issue. But you guys will have to wait. But if you thought anything in this was crazy, just wait.
Yeah, it just gets slowly just turned up. Like we go up to 10, and then we go to 11, and then the knob kind of falls off, and then by the end of it, it's just it's an interesting scene.
I know you're not going to spoil anything, but tell me it's open-ended so you can keep going.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something I think that we could probably work on as long as it entertained us.
Yeah, you could throw this character in any type of world or circumstances, and it's going to be funny and entertaining.
Yeah. Basically, every day I'll get some sort of crazy idea, and I'll text it to Wes. And then Wes ended up just opening like a Google Docs where he's just copying and pasting my text messages.
Oh, that's amazing.
One day I started throwing ideas out to him, and he was like, hey, hold on. And he sent me the Google Docs, and I got to see all my crazy ideas. And I was like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm glad you kept all that.
If anyone else saw that document, they would just think like, wow, this is some crazy heroin babble you have in this Word document here.
Well, even
the government's like, keep an eye on these guys.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff I even had to like send to Wes, and I was like, do you know what I was talking about?
We always talk on the show about wanting to get into the creative process and how artists and writers and storytellers, how they all work together to create this magic. And sometimes I think maybe we think there's like some magic trick to it, but the way you guys are talking, it's text messages and Google documents. But what does that process look? Explain it to just the average Joe Blow reader.
Well, this project for me has been like super different than pretty much all of the books I've done in the past, where like typically I'll have a script and I'll take it to an artist and they draw it. There's still a little bit of back and forth, but Bug Slugger has been like the most collaborative thing that I've done. And I don't want to speak for you, Loch, but like,
for sure,
I consider him to be like we created it together. He even though he didn't write the script, like, we talked it all out. Like we came up with the story together. So it's really just been a fun process of like, just having these conversations that, to any outsider would probably put us on some kind of list, but just going back and forth and then taking the best ideas. And for me, it's like, I know how long it takes to draw a comic book page, even though I'm not an artist. And it's like, I want the artist, to enjoy what they're drawing. So it's like, let's, you throw me ideas on what you want to draw, and then I'll just make the story work somehow. So it was just a ton of back and forth, which is good because we were kind of on the same page every step of the way, and there were no surprises, and we were constantly, just in the writing phase, changing a lot. And, panels would be added, panels would be condensed. And like one of the things that I had a lot of fun doing later was then going through and then coming up with or changing the sound effects that appear throughout the book. And the sound effects are something that get a little crazier and crazier as it goes on too. So it's just like, we just looked for like, what's every opportunity that we can have fun and be creative and do something that's like a little bit outside of the box.
That's one thing that did stand out to me was the sound effects. I'm blanking on what the one was. It was when Bug Slugger hits a van or something.
Oh, van. The van of White Slamma Jamma.
But it was the sound effect when he hits it. It's
I think it's the van of White Slamma Jamma. Sure.
Oh yeah, no, the sound effect, it just says "vanned."
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I just love that because it's like, what is the sound effect for that? Vanned.
Yeah.
I just like that stuff. Would you be? I don't want it to sound, especially with that opening scene in the book. I was like, one of the things that popped through my head while I was going through that was, this is kind of like a trauma film. I mean, not like on the raunchy side, but as far as like the action mixed with what was going on, I was like, this is kind of trauma-ish. This is nice. I hope that doesn't offend you, Paul.
You said that.
Say what now?
I said that's kind of my dream, is like just a less raunchy trauma film, just more like Toku inspired. But yeah, I mean, that's totally what we were kind of going for. So
I could see this turning into one of those. I mean, I could see it while I was reading the comic. I could see it in my head, live action as like, you know, that trauma, style. I could see it, and I could see it being very entertaining while I was watching it. So Boogie could tell you, I think of everything. I compare everything to movies and TV. I just love movies and TV. So I'm sorry, Boogie.
It's okay. I forgive you.
All right, appreciate it.
I mean, we've had Wes on before. We've talked about a lot of his stuff. Loch, what have you worked on? What's some of the stuff that you've done in the past? And anybody that's listening, either live or coming in later, the links to both these guys, their websites, their Twitter, all that stuff is down in the description below. So check that out. But kind of give us some of the stuff that you've worked on leading up to this.
Honestly, I've just always loved doing like fan comics. So whenever I get time, I'll work on some sort of fan comic. That's how Wes and I actually hooked up. Wes had a contest for his comic, Rednecks versus Hipsters, or Hipsters versus Rednecks, however that was. And I saw that. I retweeted it, and I ended up winning. So that's how Wes and I ended up connecting. We followed each other so we could DM each other. And I think it was maybe even just like a few days after that, Wes was saying, I need somebody for Battletoads fan comic. All right.
Yeah.
Sign me up. And he was like, do you draw? And I was like, yep. and then just started from there. And we did the Battletoads together. And then I showed him a comic I made called Cricket. It was just a little, maybe 6-page comic I did for one of my friends' zine that he had going on. And it's about this guy who just goes crazy hearing a cricket chirp in his house. And then in it, there's this cricket monster. And I think I said that's Wes. And, we were just talking about working on something eventually. And I said that to him, and I was like, this is something that, I really like. And I really want to do like something in this universe, something like really goofy, kind of inspired by Power Rangers with these crickets. And I don't even think I hit send on that text message. And Wes was like, I've got 14 pages here. Do you want to read these? And then, we just kind of, I read that, and like, we just, again, like he said, everything's so collaborative. We just, kind of went back and forth on that. And we just went on. So Bug Slugger is definitely my biggest project I've had. And again, this has been like 3 years or even more that we've been working on this now. So I've grown so much since then, but whenever we get a chance, I'll have some fan comics. And then one of my first projects bigger projects. I did like a 4-issue Biker Mice from Mars licensed comic. It was basically the creator of Biker Mice told my friend and I that we had rights to make comics, but it was like the official, unofficial Biker Mice. And you can still even find I think the first 2 issues on like the Kindle store through Amazon. I don't necessarily recommend reading it. It's hard for me as an artist to go back and look at those issues. But even my friend, his writing, it started very dark, and then as we went on, it did progressively get a little lighter in tone and little easier. But we did some interviews and some podcasts for the first couple issues, and usually the unanimous decision was like, "Whoa, that was something." So yeah, I mean. So that was my very first project. So I did 4 issues of that, and then I did a bunch of stuff kind of leading up to that. But Biker Mice and then this and my fan comics is really, you can see pretty much all of it online. So it's all there. But yeah, that's been what I've been up to right now. And then too, if you want to check out my social media, I'm in the middle of a Star Wars comic right now. It's The Return of Jabba the Hutt. So after Return of the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt did not die, but he wants revenge on the Skywalkers. Right now, there's only one Skywalker, Rey, and so he's coming for revenge. Salacious Crumb is also with him, so definitely that will be out. I'll probably finish that up this month, but you can see the first couple pages. I know it's on. I think they're all on Twitter, and I just have like panels on Instagram. So,
and awesome. If you've ever wanted to see Jabba the Hutt with a lightsaber chainsaw, then this is your opportunity to do.
Now's the time. Perfect time.
Jabba the Hutt's been working out, so he is ripped. He has robot legs, so Jabba the Hutt walks, and he's got a chainsaw lightsaber. And Salacious Crumb wears a red stormtrooper outfit. So,
because why not?
Well, do you draw inspiration? Is it you're an artist, or do you draw inspiration from comics? Have you been reading comics since I know you guys talked about, the Power Rangers and even, some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff in there. But do you draw inspiration from comics? And this is for both of you. You can both chime in on it.
I mean, definitely. I always liked art. People would get me comics as a little kid, and I loved that. I was never a fan of reading, so whenever I looked at art, I was strictly just looking at the pictures.
So he's like Adam, just flips the pages and doesn't read the words.
Yeah, I did not care about what any of the comics said.
I appreciate it, Boogie, but I cannot deny it either.
And then,
yeah,
kind of like when Image started out, I started noticing comics a lot more, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that looks cool. That looks cool." And then finally, I saw Spawn issue number 7, where he's got like a flamethrower and all these guns and stuff. I saw that, and I was just like, "All right, comics is my thing now." And so Spawn was a big thing for me growing up. I did love Batman, but I'll be honest, I usually liked covers more than the actual interiors. But
that was make the covers look so good.
Oh yeah, just always just like the best covers. Yeah, I mean, comics in general always a big thing for me, because I know a lot of artists, they want to make pinups and covers and things like that. For me, if there's a character I want to draw, I don't want to just draw a single image. I want to make a whole story about it. That's why I get this idea for Jabba the Hutt, and instead of me just drawing this Jabba the Hutt picture and be done with it, I have to, say, "Oh, I'm going to make a 5-page short," and then it's a 7-page short. Okay, no, now it's a 10-page short. And so that's just what happens. That's like how my mind works. I'm just always wanting to tell stories, and I think the comic medium is a perfect medium for storytelling. You can go at your own pace, not only the way you read it, but I mean the way you can draw it. Everybody can interpret it differently, but I mean it's right there. It's the best of both worlds. You read while also having visuals. I love comics, but yeah, so definitely, I mean, comics are always in mind. So,
as the writer in the bottom corner is gritting his teeth.
No, not at all. I mean, you gotta take the inspiration wherever you can get it. I think for me, like, I don't read a lot of modern comics, and when I do, it's either like more image stuff or more just like stuff my friends are making. But I try to go outside of that too, and where can I draw inspiration from? Other mediums, just as far as like comedy stuff goes. Like it's really hard to find funny comics. I mean, I have to go back and like reread my issues of like The Tick. That's kind of what I grew up on. So that's something that still, is a well of inspiration that I can go to. But I also look at like, there's a lot of stuff I like about sketch comedy or sitcoms, or, even I draw a lot of influence from, people like Conan O'Brien, for instance, and just really weird, off the wall, oddball type of humor is what speaks to me and then inspires me to bring that to comics in a way that I feel like I maybe haven't seen it done before.
Mm.
So we've heard that before, that comedy in comics is hard to do. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, because it's all about timing, and in comics, you have to really, you don't necessarily have control over how quickly somebody goes through the panels. So if you're going to set up these humor beats, like, you really have to work with the artist to kind of plan for it. So I feel like that's an area that we've succeeded on, and I think if anything, we had some even bigger ideas that have scaled back. You have to think about, like, if you have that friend that says that one joke 100 times and you get sick and tired of hearing it, but then after like the 500th time you've heard it, it starts to get funny again. Like we thought about like, how can we use stuff like that? But yeah, man, it's hard, and humor is subjective too. So what one person finds funny, another person is going to think it's the dumbest thing ever. So, so you can call a humor comic, and somebody's going to say, well, that's just dumb.
the same way that, like, when I say Airplane is one of the greatest comical movies out there, and people are like, that's just dumb.
No, it is. It's one of the best comedic movies of all time.
But there's some people out there that for whatever, it's not that they're wrong. It's just they're
wrong.
It just doesn't click with them. I don't know.
Right.
It's like, no, it's wonderful. It's great.
Yeah, because some people don't like, slapstick humor. But, I love Airplane. I love Mel Brooks movies. When I was writing Bug Slugger, like I was watching, like, all the Naked Gun movies and Spy Hard and just all these really silly things that, I can say, oh, well, I see how they did it there. Let me try to find a way to adapt kind of the laugh that got. So, it's fun to bring your sense of humor to the page, because then you find like-minded people. Like, that's one of the reasons that this book works, is because Locke and I think, have the same. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful. Your movie collection is an awesome place to hang out. Absolutely, I forgot about Police Squad. Yeah, but Locke and I have very much the same sense of humor. So I think that we maybe find things funny that either A, no one else does, or B, maybe we shouldn't find funny to start with. Like, for instance, one of my favorite, and I'm going to jump ahead in Bug Slugger a little bit, I'm not going to spoil anything, but one of my favorite moments in the entire series is just like this really stupid fart joke that like has no business being funny, but to me is like the sense of pride in this book. So, I get really serious about stuff like that for whatever reason.
Speaking of that fart joke, I took a screenshot of that when I didn't even finish reading the page. I literally took a screenshot and sent it to Wes and said, this is the comic that I've always wanted to make.
I loved in the first issue, and I'm not going to spoil what happens, but with the hipster, like when it happened, I was like, why did you do? And then, like, before I could even try to figure it out, I'm just keep reading, and then I just start laughing, and I'm like, this is hilarious. Like I said, I don't want to see it because I want people to buy it.
When I saw that, I won't spoil anything. When I saw that, I thought that must have been something between them two.
Yeah, like I was trying to process. I was trying to be serious.
Laughing. I was like, that's a joke there.
I was trying to process it as being a serious moment, and then before I could even try to process it, I was already laughing.
Well, here's the thing, without spoiling too much, is that there there's kind of a running gag with that. So have fun with it as the series progresses.
Oh gosh, that's amazing.
I think for me, Chameleon is a hipster. Like he is totally a hipster, and so him just kind of being very against hipsters is very hipster of him. So.
Yeah.
That's like I used to bug Adam because he hated people that were trendy. So then we used to always tell him that he was trendy because he did everything that wasn't trendy. I never
hated people that was trendy.
He's getting irritated right now just thinking about it.
I'm getting irritated because you're claiming something that I do not feel is factual.
It's facts.
But, I mean, but kind of speaking on just like the comedic tone, for me, I don't think I could do a serious book if I wanted to. Like, I just immediately, and even somebody might read some of the stuff like that cricket comic I told you. Someone might read that and be like, this is horrific. But for me, when I was drawing it, I was laughing the whole time. I was like, this will be crazy when this happens. And again, I don't know how people interpret it when they're reading it, but pretty much everything I do, I'm laughing about it at least. So I can't even imagine doing anything that's not
Scarf
funny.
was pretentious. Tell me that when you drew that coffee shop barista that you were like sitting there and kind of doing like an impersonation of how he was going to act before you drew him.
The barista is me.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really? Oh,
yeah. So I don't even know how that even started. I don't even know if that was in the first draft of the script or what, but I think I may have been like, hey, Wes, I'm going to be the barista in this scene. And it was okay because, we'll just say that there's a good chance that he's not going to make it into the other issues.
Right.
So I was like, yeah.
Do you own that scarf?
I may have owned that scarf at one point, but I no longer own that scarf. So
Go ahead.
What I love about the hipster is like if you really look at him and his tattoos, like they're very funny. Like he has like Nintendo written across his knuckles, and there's a lot of really silly references in there. So anybody that kind of takes the time and like goes into the art, I encourage people to look at the backgrounds too. And there's a lot of stuff that unfortunately like the lettering covered up, but there's some really funny stuff going on in the backgrounds of that book.
What are the other little Easter eggs, like Locke being the barista? Are there any other little fun nuggets or Easter eggs that you guys can share?
I'm trying to think of the first issue, but you go ahead, Wes.
The thing that comes to mind is the menu in the coffee shop. Like I think there's a couple of panels where you can actually see the menu, and that's worth a look if you can peruse that.
That was fun for me. I spent like a whole 20 minutes just trying to figure out the menu. It doesn't look like I spent 20 minutes, but I spent 20 minutes thinking about it. But yeah, no, I was trying to think because there was a few shots that I had to put a menu back there, and I could have just squiggled whatever and called it a day. But I really had to think about it, and I was like, what would this menu say? So I definitely had a lot of fun with that for sure.
That's something I love and I'm not here to debate whether you like Brian Michael Bendis or not. People yell at me when I talk about Brian Michael Bendis. But what I love about what he does at the beginning of his Superman books and Action Comics is at the beginning, it's like it'll be Clark's desk or somebody's desk at the Daily Planet, and he's got like all these little sticky notes, and there are so many little Easter eggs all over that 2-page title page. That's all it is a title page. And he's got so many little fun Easter eggs in there.
Oh,
yeah, I'm with you. I like that.
I did want to shout out the opening, the very first panel, where you say city name, time, place, date, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Let's get this thing moving. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's nothing more that I dislike about a comic when I open it up and then I've got like 3 paragraphs to read in the first couple panels. Like I just want to get started.
But the funniest part about that is I missed that because I don't read that crap. So I'm probably like, I'm not reading that. And then I just start the story.
Oh man. When I saw that, I was like, this is the first thing that popped in my head. Thank you. Yes. Let's get the story going.
It's not much of a Easter egg, but I think our big thing was Bug Slugger's vehicle. A lot of these tokusatsu heroes, they always have like a cool motorcycle, some kind of car, obviously Zords. But I mean, I don't even remember how we came across it, but I was like, he needs to have the worst vehicle of all time. So we came up with a little moped scooter.
doing the flip tricks that everyone saw in the commercials. Hey, you can do these too. What not to are we going to see giant robots?
I can't confirm or deny that, but
Yeah,
I'm sure if you look at what some of my social media at some point, you'll see something.
yeah, they're. I would just encourage people that if they have giant robot dreams, that they make it to the fourth issue. Yeah.
Make it to issue 4. Just make it to issue 4. And then also the cover of issue 4 is my little. I talked about earlier, looking at Spawn number 7. The cover to issue 4 is actually an homage to Spawn number 7. So, but instead of having like a cool flamethrower and giant machine guns, he's holding like a creepy crawlers machine, and he's got a skip it and all that kind of stuff.
Well, if you when this thing finally does go to print, if you ever do some kind of special like sketch cover, I definitely need a sketch of whether it be Cameron or Wes, but Loch, if you can do a one of the two saying based on what an earlier statement Wes did before earlier in the show where he said talking about we didn't really have plans. If we could do like a Back to the Future riff of plans, where we're going, we don't need plans. that would be so nice.
True. So true that it hurts.
I would gladly commission that from you, Loch.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, that's something. Seriously, do you do commissions? Is that something people can hit you up on social media to do?
Yeah, definitely. Hit me up and we'll figure something out.
Awesome.
Just give him enough time to recolor it 6 times.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever fuss at him, Wes? Let's get the Jerry Springer of ComicCast family. Did you ever have to? What? Seriously though, were there ever any disagreements? Like, is it smooth sailing?
No,
Be honest.
From my knowledge, it was smooth sailing. There was definitely a point where I was telling him like, as he was recoloring stuff, I was like, okay, this issue's done. and then he'd be like, cool, it's done. I'm not touching it again. And I'm like, all right, because I'm getting the Comixology file ready. And he's like, oh, it's all good. And then I'd be like, about to hit the send button. He's like, there's a new cover. So, but that's okay, because I will take that over enthusiasm more than, over any other thing. So that was okay with me. And it got better every time. It's not like it was getting worse. It was getting awesome each time. So I think you were taking new things that you had learned and applying them. So it's better for it.
Overall, I think the book is a million times better than where we started. I mean, I've changed the color palette many times. Just little things I've picked up. But overall, I want to make the best book possible.
Yeah.
So we went back and forth, and the possibly new issues coming. There's going to be less of it because now I've got the book altogether is 100 pages. So there's 100 new pages of information that I've learned. And then in between that, we've done other shorts and fan comics and all that. So I would recommend. Wes and I were a finalist in the 5x5 Ghost City contest. And I would recommend we have a little 5-page short about what happens under the bleachers at a school gymnasium. I highly recommend you guys check that out. So that is another thing that we've done. So if you would plug that.
Where is that? Where can people see that?
I actually tried to find it, and I don't know if it's online anymore. So I may have to put that up on my website so people can get to it.
Okay, yeah. It was Ghost City.
Ghost City Comics, I think, was the people who did it. But one of the things that I always harp on with the people that I work with, and I know I said this to Loch a lot, was like, I just want to make sure that this book is something that you're proud of when it's done. Like, it's really important to me that you can look back on this and really like it and be able to read it. So, if it takes him recoloring pages a couple times, like, that's cool. Like, I will be patient, and I will sit on my hands and wait, because like, it's that important to me that he's going to look back and be like, I killed on that. So cool with me.
Sure.
Nice. I bet I bet I'm not going to say it because if people want to know what it is, they'll need to pick up the book at Comixology when it drops. But I bet you all argued over what the name the Norwal.
I don't think that we
had
did
an argument. I don't think we had an argument about that one.
Somebody threw it out there and it was like, cool, let's go with that. I know the one thing
how we came up with it, but
yeah, so we have an anthropomorphic narwhal whose name is Helen, which I don't think is spoiling anything to say. But I think the only thing that I said wouldn't it be funny if this big tough looking narwhal had a girl's name? And I think that was about the extent of the conversation. I think you threw out Helen, or I did, I don't know. And we're like, yeah, let's roll with that. So
well, I even think at first that Helen was literally going to just be a narwhal, like in a tank.
Yeah.
And then I think I started getting up to that page and I was like, hey, so Wes, I'm going to draw him as this big buff narwal, and he's going to be in a hot tub.
That's right. So you see, there's compromise. There's collaboration.
Ron Perlman.
Yes,
and that we both immediately agreed upon. Like, there's no other choice for us on that one.
Yeah, we will watch Ron Perlman in absolutely any movie that he's in, happily.
Well, again, everybody, it's $1.99. You can get all 4 issues for what a Marvel #1 costs. So check it out on Comixology on Wednesday. Chad Johnson wants to know, will we see something like a Zord in the following issues?
Stay tuned for issue 4.
Yeah.
You guys asking the hard-hitting questions.
I don't think we'll disappoint Chad Johnson.
Just wait.
Yeah, I saw he did a review. How did you guys hook up with that? He did a review of it. He's 40-ounce Goose on Twitter.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you, because I really liked that review. He just hit me up, and he's been a big supporter of the last few comics that I've done, and has always said really nice things. And he said, hey, if you're willing to share an advanced copy, I'll review it. And I don't think I was like, do you have a website? I don't know, but he just put it on Twitter, and that was fine with me. Like, that makes it very easy to share, and it's a good way to reach your followers. So I know I greatly appreciate the time that he took in reading it and sharing his feedback, and I plan on using his review to market the heck out of it in the coming days. So
he gave us a lot of great quotes. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was very happy to see that as our first review, and not like, this is the worst book I've ever read.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's always
Lloyd Kaufman needs to see this.
That's the hard thing about reviews is, like, you feel really good about a book, and then you send it out to these comic review sites, and some places will just tear you to shreds, and they'll make you feel like the worst writer in the world, or the worst artist in the world, or the worst writer-artist team in the world. And so it's nice to have people that can say, like, I've really liked your other stuff, so let me check this out because I think it's up my alley. So always happy to help in that regard.
But Wes, we both know that those are the people who don't understand Airplane.
I would say that Airplane to me gets funnier as you get older. So if you didn't like it when you were younger, try watching it again now, because I think you'll appreciate it more.
Weren't we just talking about that? Were we talking about that with Drew Zucker yesterday? I feel like we just had this conversation.
How you watch something one way, and then when you watch it when you're older, like when you watch it when you're younger, you root for the good guys, but then when you get older, you're like, man, the good guys were jerks to that guy. No wonder he was a bad guy. I'm on his side now. Like, you change as you get older.
For sure.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, Drew Zucker. He did the artwork on Cantu from IDW. He's a super cool guy.
Oh, we have to follow him? Fantastic. Wish I would have known that ahead of time. I would have canceled for another week or two.
Dude, that book took all that Cantu book. That's what I told him yesterday. Like, everybody was talking about that book when it came out. But him and David both have been on. They're both great dudes. So awesome. They deserve all the success.
Of you on at the same time, and we're all going to have a huge virtual party.
Nice.
Yeah, I told them I would love you guys to do it too. I don't know, and again, it's like, what platform do you have? But it's like commentary on single issue comics, like to have the writer and the artist sit down and go through page by page of the book and kind of talk through that, because we talk about it. I mean, we said it earlier, learning that creative process, but I don't think it's hard to sit down and say, well, here's what the creative process looks like in a 5-minute nutshell. It's like, it's so hard, but if you go through that commentary, it's a lot. It's like movie commentary. I mean, Adam, that's right up his alley. I think he would rather listen to that than actually read the comic.
I do like a good commentary.
Sure. No, that would be super fun. I would worry that if we did that, and I think we should try it, but I would worry that like you guys would be like, oh, tell us about like how this panel came together, and be like, I don't know, man. Like, it was.
Well, I can give you guys a preview. I'll be like, okay, this panel, this sucks. I wish I redid that one.
Oh no, that's the worst. Are you one of those guys that hates everything you do after you do it? Oh,
basically, like I'll be okay with it for like maybe the first couple days, and then usually by the next page I'm drawing, I'm like, yep, I hate that one.
I can admit I identify with Loch. Then that's the way when I if I ever watch myself do wrestling, I like within the first minute I'm cussing myself over something I've done. It's like you dummy, why do you even go out there? You can't do anything right, but you did something right. This book is right. So Loch, you did a great job.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I like to think that if you look back at something and you don't like it, it's because you can see what's wrong with it, and that because you've learned something. So you gotta spin that into a positive.
And I mean that's like, I feel like that's the comic game. Every time you work on something, you are learning. No matter if you know how to turn that into anything, just the more you do it, just every minute you're working on something, you are learning something for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you can't get complacent. You always want to keep learning. I have 3 years worth of comics that I can't really even look at anymore because I just see what's wrong with them. Even though nobody else would, that was just reading it. It's something that bothers me, but it's like, oh, okay, it's only because I see how this could have been better.
I go back and listen to the first episodes of this podcast and I want to delete them off of YouTube. But I'm the type of guy that I surround myself with talented and entertaining people, and then I just sit back and watch them work. That's how ComicCast works. And then if I could just sit back and be quiet and just let the magic unfold, it's way better.
But for you guys, Wes and I will talk about it. We'll see if we can get you a commentary for
that would be amazing. That would be
nice.
Amazing.
That'd be awesome.
We'll hold you guys to that. But again, guys, the book, it drops Wednesday on Comixology. Do you know what time? Do they have a time, or do you just kind of wait and see?
I think it's at like 7:32 and 46 seconds that it's going to come out.
I'll set my alarm. I'll set my alarm for that time, and if it's not there,
I say usually by the time I wake up in the morning, sometimes it won't show up in like the new feed, but if I search it, it's usually there at least by 7 o'clock. I'd say so.
Okay. Cool. Well, everybody check that out on Wednesday. Again, the links for Loch and Wes, all their social media, their websites, all that good stuff is in the description. So support these guys. They're out there on the grind. But again, $1.99, you can't argue with that. But we appreciate you guys coming on the show. Coming up this week on the S&B Network, Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern, the Wrestling Council. We'll be recapping WWE Money in the Bank. Sunday, ComicCast Live at 7 p.m. Eastern. Working on a special guest. I've got to reach out to her and confirm, and we're still trying to decide on the book club. But that's it for the S&B Network. Thank you guys again for coming on, and we will see you guys later.